Welcome to Racelet's IndyCar Podcast, Episode 2. My name is Fred, and I'm joined alongside my daughter.
Hi, I'm Sydney.
And tonight we're going to talk and recap St. Petersburg qualifying, and we're going to go over the new Grid Rival fantasy app and scoring system and give you our picks for the race tomorrow. So first things first, I just want to comment, what a great job Fox Sports has done in the first 2 days of covering IndyCar in the, as Will Buxton will say, 2025 season. Lots of cool stuff we've seen so far in the first 2 days. Sydney, what are some of the key takeaways that you've noticed?
Well, the visuals and pictures is great.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. We've been streaming it through the Fox Sports app, and I could tell you one thing is it's almost 4K resolution. I'm not quite sure if it is or not, but it is already blowing away what we had seen through the Peacock app. No buffering issues. The only thing you have to sit through is while you're streaming it on a replay is the commercials.
Speaking of commercials, I love seeing how they promoted the start of the 2025 season during the Super Bowl with the Joseph Newgarden, Pato Award, and Alex Palou commercials.
Oh, those were fantastic, weren't they? Starting with the Joseph one, and then Palou saying my kids hated it, but when they showed the book and stuff like that, really good marketing already a month before the start of the season. So Fox is doing an outstanding job. Sid, what do you think about that cockpit view that they have?
I think that is actually really cool. You get to see the miles per hour, what gear they're on, how far the next turn is, and what position they are.
Yeah, outstanding. If I have anything I can say that was kind of corny, were the animated graphics of the drivers' faces. Not used to seeing the cartoonish caricatures. Some of them look pretty evil. Rossi looked like he was pissed off, but that's usually the case with Alex. Some of the other guys pretty funny as well. Now, with practice, it was so nice to see all those cars on track, all the new liveries, new teammates, new teams out there, some returning drivers. An overall great to see IndyCar back. Sydney, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm so happy that it's back. It just felt like Christmas morning, just being able to see cars back on track and getting to watch it every weekend.
Oh, yeah. It gets your adrenaline pumping. It's awesome. Again, it was very much like anticipation of Christmas morning, finally getting everybody out on the track. Any key takeaways from practice that you noticed?
Well, there was some incidents at turn 3 with Rosenquist and Armstrong, the teammates. They both spun out at that same spot. We also had McLaughlin crash and hit the wall, and his tire broke.
Yeah, that was a pretty significant crash, and a lot of work had to be done on the car to get him back in racing shape. As far as P2 practice, anything that was a surprise or whatnot?
Not really. We just had power. His car kind of stopped, locked up his engine, so they had to change that. But other than that, I don't think there was very much that happened practice too.
Right. Same top performers at the top, very fast. Colton Herta, Scott McLaughlin, Scott Dixon, Alex Palou, and the list goes on. Now, on to qualifying. What can you say? Thirsty threes, baby. Scott McLaughlin starts the 2025 season with a St. Pete pole. Is that any surprise to you?
Nope, not at all.
No, not at all. And what do you think? Meyer Shank with 2 in the top 6 with Rosenquist and Armstrong?
I think it's looking pretty good for them, but we'll have to see because Rosenquist always qualifies good, but never really finishes in that top spot.
Yeah. I do think that team is going to be very good this year. Rinus VeeKay, very fast today on track as well. Nolan Siegel. Another Aero driver, not so good today. Pato Award, he's going to be starting row 12 for Pato Award, who won this race last year on a technicality. But that's going to be a lot of ground he's going to have to pass and a lot of cars that he's going to have to pass throughout this race. Starting at the top is where you want to be, right?
Yeah. But the plus for him is starting in the back, he has those drivers who aren't super good yet, so he might be able to pass them pretty
That
quickly.
that is true. Now you're talking about um, some of the other guys today. Scott Dixon um, doing his usual, pretty good up there. Alex Below, fast as well. Colton Herta, you know, it's going to be a dogfight between those guys this season. I think there's at least a half a dozen drivers with a legitimate chance of winning the championship. Lastly, that I want to talk about real quick, Christian Lundgaard, the best aero performer today in the top six. He'll be starting P5 in row 3 alongside Scott Dixon. And after seeing qualifying now and the lineup and grid is already set, this is where the fun begins for you fantasy users out there. Out with the old fantasy type of app where you picked 4 drivers, you had a $100 budget, you picked based on what you can afford and the top 3 in the finishing, tiebreaker, miles per hour, blah, blah, blah. The new Grid Rival app. What do you think, Sydney? This is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think this one is going to be the best one yet. You do have a lot more money to spend, and you choose 2 more drivers. So I'm excited
Yeah,
to
on
see how
top
it
of that,
works.
not only are you choosing these drivers and their salary caps, you can sign them to contracts, racing contracts, anywhere from 1 race to 5 races. So if you choose a driver to a 5-race contract and he's doing quite well, his money couldn't go up, his salary couldn't go up. You could be banking that extra money. Then when that contract expires, you may have enough money to afford somebody better later on down the road. Now, this is where the strategy really comes into play. How many races do you want to sign these guys to? Race number 6 on the season is the Indy 500. 5 is the max. So if you take a driver with a 5-race maximum contract, you're not going to be able to use him because you have to wait 1 race before you can re-sign a driver. That is going to add a little bit, some strategy to how you choose your team.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot more strategizing for these drivers, and it's almost like you're becoming a team owner.
So you've got salaries all the way at the top with Alex below, and then you've got guys like Robert Schwartzman and Jacob Abel down at the bottom for only a couple $1,000,000. A few guys who've had pretty good success at St. Petersburg over the last 3 seasons with some of the best average finishes are Pato. He's an average of about a 4th place finish over the last 3 years. You got Will Power, Alex Pillow, Felix Rosenquist with a 6-spot average over the last 3 years at St. Pete. Joseph Newgarden, he won the race last year, but didn't get a result as he was DQ'd. Same thing to go with Scott McLaughlin. And your pole sitter this year, the year he won St. Pete, he started pole. Can he do it again? We'll have to find out. Ready to make your team?
Yes, let's do it.
So I got to defend my 3rd place overall finish last year. This year we are aiming for number 1 and number 1 only. Cool thing about this, you have 6 drivers to choose from, $100 million in salary cap. So anything is possible. Sydney, you want to make your first selection?
Yeah. So for my first driver, we're going to have to go with Scott McLaughlin. Of course, because he is on pole, and last time at St. Pete, he won from pole. I'm obviously going to have to choose him. And I'm also going to sign him for 2 races because I'm pretty sure he did really well at Thermal last year.
Okay, that's good. I also am going with Scott McLaughlin. Very good at St. Pete, starting from the pole. So we should get the most laps led, hopefully. That would be some bonus points for Scotty. I have him signed for a 4-race contract. Now, again, before I forget, you could terminate somebody's contract early, but you do have to pay a 3% penalty on their salary cap. So if somebody's not performing and you want them off of your team, you can get rid of them before their contract expires. So pick number 2. Who do you got?
I have Colton Herta starting 2nd, and he's won there before, so I think he can do really well.
And for how long of a contract did you sign Colton?
I just signed him for one race. Just saying.
Okay, one race. I as well have Colton Herta on my team. And again, I signed him for 4 races, which is going to get him through Thermal and Long Beach and Barber. Pick Sydney.
All right, my third pick, I have Marcus Ericsson. He won St. Pete in 2023. Yeah, and I only have him signed for one race as well.
Okay. I'm going with Christian Lundgaard, and I have Lundgaard signed for 2 races. I just want to see how he does. He has a cap of 18.8 million. I'm hoping a good result out of St. Pete will bump his salary up a little bit. It is quite a bit for him, but with his starting position and Team Arrow, McLaren having a good run at it, I think he'll be fine. Number 4.
Number 4 for me is Marcus Armstrong. He's starting up there with his teammate Felix Rosenqvist. He did pretty well last year, and I have him signed for one race.
That's funny because I have the teammate Felix Rosenqvist. Felix is a very good qualifier. Now, like we said before, can he finish these races, get some podiums, get some top tens? He had a cap hit of 13.2 million. And I did sign him for 3 races, which will be St. Petersburg, Thermal Club, and Long Beach.
Okay. Number 5, Nolan Siegel. He finished pretty high for the Aero drivers. He won St. Pete last year in NXT, so I think he could do really well, and I'm signed for one race.
1 race, okay. And what is his salary cap?
His salary cap is $7.6 million. So
$7.6 million. That's quite a, if he does well this weekend, he could go up. Now, you cannot choose him again until you get to the 3rd race of the season. Okay. I'm going with a 5-race contract for David Malukas at a $9 million value. He is also my star selection, which is going to give you those extra bonus points for that driver. Sydney, last on your roster.
Last guy I have, Rinus VK. So we all know he isn't repping the best team this year, but I think he has great potential for the 2025 IndyCar.
Oh, he has great potential. One of the best drivers on the circuit over the last couple of seasons, even though he's been driving for some of the poorest teams. My 6th and final roster spot is a 3.5 cap hit, and I'm going with Christian Rasmussen for a 3-race contract, which will put him through Long Beach. Now, I don't have anybody on a 1-year term or anything like that, so I'm going to let these guys ride it out and see how well they do. Any other strategies that went involved with your picks?
Yeah, well, I definitely think there's going to be a bit of a learning curve.
Definitely a bit of a learning curve. This is not traditional. A lot more involved. You have that responsibility of being a team owner, and you have to manage and budget your roster, right?
Yeah.
Signing your guys to the right contract length could make or break how well your team is doing. So you want guys that are going to build their salaries to a higher level. At the same time, you do have to have those higher performers up there as well. It's a lot like playing, rotisserie fantasy baseball when you have that salary cap, and as the season goes on, the roster contract length fluctuates up and down based, and then you can pick your guys accordingly. You can't go with the Alex Palou, Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin, Colton Herta, unless you start building guys at the lower dollar level and letting them mature and earning that extra money. I don't know exactly how much these guys will go up or down in value. That's all to be determined. I expect a very fun season. It's going to get me very focused, and I can't wait to get this ball rolling.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an incredible season. There's definitely going to be some ups and downs, and I can't wait to see how the season plays out.
Yeah, very excited. Like we said, it's Christmas morning. Come tomorrow morning, IndyCar fans. Race starts for us here on the West Coast at 9 a.m. So we're having a big breakfast. Dad's going to do the cooking, and we're all going to sit around in our IndyCar gear. I know my daughter Charlotte will be wearing her Willpower t-shirt and hat. Sid, what are you going to be rocking?
I'll be rocking my new McLaughlin t-shirt.
New McLaughlin t-shirt. I too will be rocking my Thirsty Threes t-shirt. Can't wait to see how everything shakes down. Thank you for joining us. I am Fred.
I'm Sydney.
Take care.